So here is my 9 o'clock broadcast. In this broadcast or this live event or Google Hangout or whatever name we want to give it, I want to discuss how do you determine value? What is it that determines the value of money or of gold or silver or whatever it is that you see? The thing is, we have been for hundreds of years now, we have been basically been using supply and demand when it comes to putting value on something. But does that really determine the value? Does supply and demand, is that really the way a value should be? Is that not a scarcity mindset? Isn't that the idea of scarcity when supply and demand is when that determines the value of something? I remember a number of years ago. Well, let me start off this way, actually. A jug of windshield washer is usually, I don't know, somewhere around $2, $2 to $3, like that, around here. By the way, I'm in Ontario, in Delhi, Canada. Delhi, Ontario, Canada. And we usually pay around $2 to $3 or so for a jug of windshield washer, which, yeah, that's common here, right? And well, sometimes there's in certain stores they have there'll be jugs there with maybe a different color or something, and then a higher price. Well, then the question is, does the different price, the different color, why is it a different color? And does that color have, is that why the price is higher, or is it just been tinted a different color to add the illusion that it's worth more? See, I will always remember a conversation I overheard one time at a workplace where I worked. My job was we were building furnaces that would burn used oil, and you probably right away think, well, wow, that would create a lot of smoke. And actually, it wasn't. They didn't really create all that much smoke. Of course, we the way we were building them and stuff had much to do with it. But long story short, I was doing the welding on these stoves, and And as I was overhearing the owner of the plant discussing with a now how would what do we call them now, a supplier, like a a supplier. We were supplying a whole bunch of different suppliers with these stoves, dealers I should say, maybe. And so he asked him, he says, so what, we were making two different models. We were building two different models. The one was a little bit bigger in size than the other, not much, just a little bit. And he was, and the bigger one, it was a little bit bigger, and then it had a few more gauges and a few looking at it where the gauges and stuff were, it basically there wasn't very much difference, but it had a few more switches and gauges and a couple more things like that, right? And and what the when the dealer asked, so what really is the difference in these two items? And the fabricating manager or owner of the fabricating shop, he told him, he said, it's basically nothing. It's just a lot more money. And I'm like, really? It's really nothing. It's just a lot more money. But isn't that how it is very often? How it, often things are. But what's behind that idea? What's behind that idea? We are geared that we want more, 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 more. We want more. We want lots. That's what we're driven to. Now, we weren't born that way. We weren't born that way. I know that there's probably a lot of people right now that would disagree with me on that, saying that we were born, but that's not the case, because in reality, the planet we live on is bountiful. We live on a very, very bountiful planet. There could be 10 times the amount of people on this planet that we have now, and the resources are so massive that we would barely scratch the surface of what's available. Then the question comes, well, where is this idea of scarcity come from? Where does that come from? Well, if you look at the monetary system that we have been using for the past hundreds of years now, well, there were a few changes early in the very early 1900. There were some changes, and it took a turn in 1913. It took a turn for the worse, very drastically. And I know that most people don't have any idea what the cause of that was. Huh? No. Okay. Well, anyway, I was just asking for a cup of coffee here, and yeah, it's almost ready. Okay, so um, so how do you determine what is the price? Is it supply and demand? You know, when we look at all the coins that are in the exchanges, which is the norm, that's sort of called the normal way of doing things. What what do you see when you really stop and think that through as to how does that system really work, and why is it that that regulations regulations are coming into to the cryptocurrency space? Why? You see, the biggest plague that humanity has ever faced, when there is something good, something that is good for people, something that people can use and that helps them to flourish and to expand and be create a better life for themselves, there is a leech, a snare that comes in and says we have to control this. Yeah, we have to somehow gain control of this so that we can turn it into shit. You see, it's not it's not about it's not about supply and demand. That's smoke and mirrors. That's bullshit. It's not about that. It's it's not about, what's better for humanity. It's not about that. If you look around, if you look around and you see all the way this planet, what has all happened, what have we been doing to this planet, you know, just it's very easy to take stock and look at what we're doing. All this packaging, that practically every bite is separately packaged. It's through in the food processing plants. All of this packaging, all of this trucking, instead of having local communities where people locally engage and build their own community and create their own foods and create, their own whatever. So it actually doesn't need all this packaging, because you first of all, you make most of it yourself at home, and then what you don't make at home yourself, you buy it at a local store, and it's been supplied there by somebody local, and there's no tax on it. It's just a simple exchange between you and the local store, which had the exchange uh, from their local supplier, which then you don't create all this garbage and all this, from the packaging that fills the, you know creates all these huge landfills, creating so much garbage. Not only that, look at all the hauling, all the trucking, all the fuel that is being burnt. Look at all how is this world, how did we ever manage to screw it all up like that? Well, it's actually very easy. It's the idea of lack and limitation that has done all this. We've been following it. We've been using that same idea everywhere instead of waking up and realizing there is abundance of supply. There's abundance of supply everywhere in the communities. Now, sure, some things, maybe if you're not living in a tropical area or whatever, well, you would want some tropical fruits in. But who's manipulating all that? Think about it. The prices in the stores, why are they as high as they are? Because of all of these middlemen that have to take, that are taking their cut. And on every one of those transactions, there is this huge extortion fee called tax. So what determines the price on something? Where is the abundance? Where do we see the abundance that exists in this world? Or are we just too blind to be able to see it? Is that what it is? Is that what it is? Are we just too blind to be able to see the abundance? Well, you see, supply and demand, that idea is the worst idea that mankind could have ever come up with to determine a price on something. With that idea of idea of supply and demand, how does it come into play where you have a mutual feeling with the person that you're dealing with, the person, the buyer or the seller, doesn't matter, where you both are as friends, where you both are as much concerned about the happiness in the well, how would we say it? The happiness of that exchange with the other person as for yourself. Let me say this again. Where, in this lack and limitation idea, how can we possibly, within ourselves, let's say two of us, we make a trade. We make a trade. I care, I care as much about your success and your prosperity as you do of mine. And then we can make this trade. We are both satisfied that we have made a trade that made us both happy. Not a supply and demand where the buyer is buying something and he's buying it because he really pretty much, he really needs it. And you, knowing how much he needs it, you stick that price way the hell up because this person has to have it. In your mind that you have really screwed this person on that price. He knows it. And then to make matters even worse, because of that high price, a huge extortion fee gets tacked onto it yet on top of it. Do you see anything fair about a deal like that? Do you see anything fair about that kind of a deal? Well, that's the kind of world we live in. The kind of world we live in. What about happiness? What about happiness? What about this idea when you make a trade with someone and you are both happy, you are both satisfied, you made a good deal. You're both parties as much concerned about the other's success as your own. And not to mention, cut out this extortion crap. Cut that out. Can it be done? It can, if enough people wake up. If enough people wake up to the truth, yeah, it can be done. But it can actually be done. Anyone can do it. But you have to go through the exact steps in order to do it. And the education or the materials on how to do this, the information for that is available on cryptotbc.com. Spend a bit of time, go through all the links, all the information. Just take a week and find out what's all there for education, for learning, for finding out how this world works, and how did we get into this mess that we're in, and how can we find our way out to live a happy, glorious, wonderful life like we're supposed to. That's what we were born to do, to live a very, very happy and successful, abundant life of prosperity in all areas. That's the plan. That was the original plan until it got screwed up by greed. Yeah, greed. So, and you know, I don't want to, well, let's never mind what I don't want. What I want to do, what I want to do is I want to tell you something. You know, this idea of abundance, there is, you know, there's quite a bit of to do to change our mind from the idea of lack and limitation to the idea of abundance. Now, in order to do this, you can't do this with a closed mind. You can't have the idea that you know how things work, and so you have actually nothing to learn, and that, you know, and so on. We need to approach this with the an open mind, and asking ourselves, how does it really work? What actually, you know, why is everything the way it is? Why do we have this feeling of lack? Where does it come from? Why do I just barely get by from paycheck to paycheck? What's all those wars? What's that all about? Why? Why? Who's behind it, right? And you know what? As you open your mind and you approach this with the idea that I really want to know. I want to know. I want to know what's going on. And I want to know what steps are there that I can take to change, to change this for the better, to become wealthy, to help others become wealthy, to have the attitude that I want others to succeed as much as what I want success for myself. You see what would happen? You see the joy, the happiness that that you would create between parties that you deal with. And you know what? As we do this and we spread it out, more people get involved. They're realizing, what, this can really be done. I know it takes an open mind to to approach this. Thank you very much. It takes an open mind to approach this, and there have now been, there are actually millions of people that are working on exactly these type of things around the world. And I believe that there is there are people that are really, really scared that too many people will find this joyful life and will find peace and happiness and abundance in their lives. And the world is going to change. But their plan is to make it worse and worse and worse for everybody. How far are you going to let it go until you're going to start making changes for yourself and those you love, those, your children and your grandchildren and so on? That's good coffee. That's a question. What are you going to do about it? Are you willing? Are you willing to spend a little bit of time to find out what is wrong? Why are things the way they are? Why are there, you know, why are we paying so much tax? Income tax of all things. Not only that, where is the wealth? How do we go about becoming wealthy? How do we go about uh, prosperity? To prosper in life, truly prosper and enjoy a life of peace and freedom. How do we go about that? I want to invite you to. Go to cryptotbc.com and join my mailing list, and so you get notified when I do these live uh, streams, and also others that are doing them as well. And you have an opportunity to ask questions in the chat here that I will be happy to answer. And most of all, I would just invite you to open your mind up to the prosperity idea. Open up your mind to the idea that there can be peace and prosperity for all people, for everyone. Yes, for everyone. You see, TBC, when it was created, it was the purpose, and it still is. That hasn't, nothing has changed on that. You know, the purpose of TBC is to completely eradicate poverty from the face of the earth. That's right. Get rid of poverty once and for all, where every person who wants a job can have one. Every person who wants to have a business can have one. And we really can. We really can. But if you open yourself to that possibility, the idea of that, you know, that possibility, and go through some information, I have a free gift for you of coin that you can have. You can claim it on CryptoTBC, cryptotbc.com. And there you can find the free gift. And with, along with very, very, very much information that, and you know what? It's not that I want to try to bog you down with all kinds of, with, you know, very much information, but I do implore you, open your mind up to the truth. Open your mind up with the possibility, I mean, to that possibility that we can change the world. We really can. So with that said, I'm going to sign off, and it's cryptotbc.com where you can find the information. A free gift, free coin, join my newsletter, and I will email you the information so that you can get started and join me in this journey of abundance. Thank you. Peace.